Hello, Honors 202. It's me, Pete. I hope everybody's doing okay. Oh my god, I've got a light that keeps flashing on and on. You know what? Actually, hold on just a second. Okay, people. So now the light is out, but it won't flash. So, I hope everybody's doing okay. I hope everybody's staying safe and as well. Remember to if you're exposed to people, don't come to class, isolate yourself, visit the health center, do what you need to do to take care of yourself. That's the most important thing right now. And of course, our class is important, so I hope everybody's doing okay. If you're having trouble with anything in the class, if you're having trouble with the reflections, anything at all, please let me know and I'll be happy to try to help you. This video, I'm going to talk about Thorstein the staff struck for a minute. Before we do that, though, quickly wanted to say, obviously, you'll have a reflection on that due at the end of the week. Wednesday, we'll be meeting for class to discuss stuff. For Wednesday, bring on a sheet of paper, bring a paragraph of thoughts and ideas. And then on Friday, you'll have the reflection due. So the other thing that I wanted to mention was the student video project that you're supposed to do with another member of the class. I am having some second thoughts about the parameters of that assignment and how that assignment is going to work. So, y'all give me a day or two. Hopefully, on Wednesday, I can tell you exactly what changes are going to take place. But just so you know, the changes are meant to make things easier for you, not more difficult for you. So I will talk to you about that on Wednesday. In the meantime, I want to give you some of my thoughts about reading Thorstein the Staff Struck, hopefully to give you some ideas for your reflection and for the discussion on Wednesday. Remember that paragraph that you write for Wednesday, you will be turning that in for quiz points. So, Thorstein the Staff is a Viking, or what we think of as a Viking tale from Iceland. And there's a lot of stuff happening in this little tiny story that brings up some, I think, issues that are still pretty important in our society today. So let me just point out a couple of things that I noticed. First, I suppose and foremost, I don't know how to pronounce all these names for sure. So my pronunciation, just like in all the other stuff we read, is suspect at best. So I don't know how to pronounce these things. So please don't judge me. I don't want to be judged for my poor pronunciation. So, a couple of things here. One, obviously, Thorstein is the main character, and we're told from the very beginning that on the farm he can do the work of three people. Or rather, they say three people couldn't do better than Thorstein. So he's even tempered, he's strong, he's seems like a pretty great guy. Gets into a little sporting conflict with Thord, who is not as cool. So they have this horse battle, and so obviously during the course of the battle, the horse fight, Thord hits Thorstein with a staff, breaks open his eye, hurts him pretty badly. This is ultimately why, this is going to be the catalyst for all of the events in the story. So one of the first things I thought was just the role of sports in society and why do we have sports and what is the function of it. Clearly, in this case, sports was a opportunity for people to get pissed off at each other, to get upset. So upset that eventually this is going to lead to murder and death, etc., over sports, over something that's supposed to be pretty, not serious, not that big a deal. On the other hand, if it's not supposed to be very serious and not supposed to be a big deal, people sure do treat it like it's a big deal. People sure do treat their sports like they're very serious about them. So I wondered what the role of is sports. I tend to think of sports like music or something as being something that brings people together. On the other hand, it's worth noting all of the places where sports are dividing us. And so I wondered what y'all thought about that, about the role of sports. Um, the other thing, one of the main things that strikes me about this story is all the, I want to say, pot stirring and all the prodding that other people do that encourage the violence. Obviously, we start out with Thorvald and Thor Hall, the two people who make fun of Thorstein for being struck by the staff and start calling him the staff struck, which is like the most obvious pejorative put down that I guess they can think of. He got hit by a staff, so we'll call him the staff struck. Um, it is them who come up with the nickname and thus begin to goad the situation. There is Thorarin, who is Thorstein's dad. He is concerned about his son being a coward. He's known to have been a very brave warrior. They have lots of weapons at the house, it said, so apparently fighting and combat and all of that is still very important to his dad. His dad goads Thorstein on to fight because he doesn't want to have a coward for his son. Um, what else? Then there's Thor Hall and Thorvald. Thor Hall and Thorvald. Not only do they call Thorsten the staff struck, later on they start talking crap about their boss, Bajarni, for not going after Thorsten. So here's another case where they eventually goad Bajarni on to do something. There's also Bajarni's wife, who is upset that he will be perceived as a coward and won't be able to regain his reputation. Um, so, I wondered in this particular case how much violence and fighting, etc., between people is actually instigated by others, or to what degree do others play a role in when violence takes place in society. Um, for instance, I want to say Bajarni's wife, even though she seems to be concerned about her husband being perceived as a coward, she also is concerned about the very practical idea that he's supposed to be protecting people. And if he doesn't show to those people that he is able to protect them, then he might lose some followers. He might lose some of his strength ultimately. This is a time where it seems as if Bajarni is the leader because he is the best fighter. He is the best fighter. And therefore he's at the top. And if he doesn't use his fighting skills, perhaps people will think that he doesn't have them anymore. So his wife's goading him, I want to say, has some practical benefits, but it also seems to be that she just doesn't want him to be perceived as a coward because maybe she doesn't want to be married to a coward. Brings me to another point, which is this whole story. We got all this talk about honor and about who's a coward and who's not a coward. And, if somebody insults you and you don't do something back, you're a coward. And if you do something back, if that person's family and friends don't do something back to you, they're a coward and they've lost their honor. And then, as you can see, then your people have to do something back to them. And we have an endless sort of cycle of violence happening. Why? Mostly because people are trying to protect their honor. What does that even mean? What is your honor? These days, I know that if somebody challenged me to a duel, I would not fight them. I would be like, no, y'all go on out and have your duel without me. I would say that it takes more courage, maybe, to not protect your honor, to let people say what they want to say about you and not care. That takes courage. So what makes a person brave? Is a brave person, is a courageous person simply a person that attacks anyone who attacks them? Or is a courageous person like Thorstein, gives the person the benefit of a doubt, says, Thord probably did that on accident. Um, he's trying to maintain what I would say is sort of real honor, but everybody else wants him to do this sort of, performative honor where you perform for everyone that you are honorable. So, what is honor? What is honor now? What is courage? What is courage now? Are we different now that we don't have duels anymore? We don't have, if somebody, you don't have to duel them to the death over some stupid insult or something. Um, in this world, you do. In this world, little tiny insults are paid back with death. And so that tells us something about the kind of people that we're dealing with and the kind of society that we're dealing with. So again, how much violence is instigated by others? An endless cycle of violence. At one point, Bajarni says to his wife, he says, no one wants to learn from everyone's lesson. Thorstein had good cause to kill those people. So the people that Thorstein killed, he did it for a good reason, and yet she still wants their honor to be defended and him to show that he's not a coward. Again, even though those people deserve to die. Anyway, it wasn't me. Also, too, I want to say the fight between Bajarni and Thorstein is an interesting fight where they take breaks for water, they take breaks to tie up their shoes. Thorstein brings him an extra shield and an extra sword to help him out. They're very generous and nice to each other during the fight. And of course, they end up resolving things peacefully, and Thorstein goes on to work for Bajarni for the rest of his life, seemingly. Notice that is at the beginning when they said that Thorstein was as good as 3 men. Thorstein kills 3 of Bajarni's men, and then he replaces them. He becomes the one thing that replaces them. Bajarni is impressed that Thorstein doesn't just kill him when he has the chance, meaning when he's tying a shoe or when he needs a drink of water or whatever. Thorstein could have killed him and he didn't. And Bajarni, unlike all these other people, respects the fact that Thorstein's showing some restraint. So I wondered, to what degree do we appreciate restraint? To what degree do we appreciate action? Why and how? And what about this endless cycle of killing, this revenge and back and forth and back and forth? Is that necessary? Again, in this world, you would like to think that it's not, but we still see plenty of that kind of thing going on in the world. So these are just some of my initial thoughts about the story. It seems like to me, again, that there are a lot of interesting things that we could think about here. Oh, how about the role of women in this story? The old woman that they talk to, that Thorstein tells him that Thord had been gored by a bull, and the woman forgets, and like, what's that about? I don't even know why that little bit's in the story. And also, kind of at the end of the story, I don't really understand why Bajarni is trying to trick Thorstein's dad and then takes Thorstein but says, don't worry, Dad, we're going to set you up with slaves for the rest of your life. You won't have to worry about anything. It's kind of a weird little tag on at the end, as far as I can tell. So there's weird stuff in here. What do we say about elders in this story? What do we say about women in this story? What do we say about relationships between men and women, and relationships between men, for that matter? So again, it seems like to me there's a lot of stuff to think about here. Y'all do so. You can make comments here, and I'll look forward to hearing your thoughts on Wednesday. I hope everybody's great. Y'all all have a good day, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.